side. Now I'm going to turn it over to Christine Keener from Verizon.
Thank you, Roseanne. First, I just want to say thank you to you and Larissa for putting together this amazing industry series and for bringing us all together. I'm super excited to have you, have everyone here with us to have a discussion. I'm looking forward to talking more about our community initiatives, talking about the projects we're working on, as well as technological advancements. For those of you who have not met me, my name is Christine Keener. I serve as the Director of Government and Community Affairs for Verizon. I cover a good chunk of Northern California, pretty much from the border to about Santa Barbara County is my territory. And the way that I like to talk about my job, it was like, what is government affairs? It's really to be a two-way advocate, right? It is, here are all the amazing things we're doing here at Verizon, and here are some of the important community initiatives. But I think just as importantly, it's about learning and listening and getting community insights and bringing those back into the Verizon ecosystem. We have over 105,000 employees. And so our goal is like, how do we show up very authentically into the communities we serve, whether that's deploying service, whether that's through our retail stores, whether that's through our community engagement opportunities, such as our Verizon Small Business Digital Ready program, which I will talk more about later on in this discussion, or our innovative learning schools, or how we show up for major events such as FIFA or World Cup, and how do we also make sure that we are supporting the events surrounding the events. And so that's really what we try to do, is how do we make sure we're show up authentically into the community, but also how do we make sure that we're being everyone's first call, we're being great collaborators, and we're just making sure that we're highlighting the investments that we're making so that folks have that human aspect, that human connection into Verizon. And so what I'm looking for today is to kind of highlight some of those programs more and really talk more about it. I think as we all know, when we're here, connectivity is just not a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. And so how we talk about those is through a myriad of ways. It's through our network deployment, how we create balanced community-centric approaches, how we work with different jurisdictions, but also how do we show up in communities to make sure that their voices and their perspectives are being highlighted and that we're working together to be able to create a shared vision. I'm a true believer that in order to have shared objectives, we have to have shared realities. And so I'm excited that through this conversation, we'll be able to talk more about that and more about how we're working together to create that shared vision. So I just want to keep it short because I'm very excited. We have great questions today that Roseanne and Larissa put together that will just talk more about what we're doing, how Verizon showed up in the community.
How does your company support our small and medium-sized businesses?
I think this is an excellent question. I think during the pandemic, I think there was a proverbial black light that was shown over a lot of our communities. And one was like how to impact our small and medium businesses, especially our small businesses. And I thought we saw a lot of closures and a lot of people not being able to be resilient or competitive through a more digitized economy. And so one of the ways that we've shown up and kind of really supported our businesses, our small businesses, is through what we call a Verizon Small Business Digital Ready. And I'll put the link in the chat in a second here. But what that has done, it's been created for small businesses by small business owners. And so it's a self-paced platform to where you can have executive coaching, you can have community building sessions where we do both online and in-person community building. We have different marketing classes, and we host events through some of our different partners. Recently, we had an event at Levi Stadium where we brought small businesses from all over the region to have an in-person lesson about how do you market in a digitized economy. One of the things, and not to hide the ball here, is we provide $10,000 grants every couple of cycles or quarter to be able to support small businesses. And people are like, hey, Verizon's providing $10,000 grants to small businesses. Like, is that real? Yes, it is real. And so I really encourage people to take at least one course to be able to qualify for that $10,000 grant. Currently, right now, we're also running a special kind of super fan promo, which is we're rewarding a couple of small businesses with $25,000 grant to support their businesses in partnership with the NFL. So by taking 5 courses, you'll be automatically entered into winning tickets to the Super Bowl in New Orleans, as well as winning $25,000. And so I think that's a great way for how we support our small businesses, especially BIPOC and women of businesses who oftentimes have struggled and didn't have the ability to be resilient or competitive within the market. And so this is how we feel like we can show up and really pour in both technology and access-wise, but more importantly, resources with funding to be able to support our small businesses.
What is something that our communities may not be aware of in your corporate philosophy as you engage locally?
I love this question. I think one of the things that I want folks kind of know about kind of our philanthropy and kind of giving is we're really focused on kind of a multi-value approach. We're really focused on how do we grow our partnerships? How do we make 1 + 1 = 5? And so one of the ways that we kind of do that is that we have an innovation lab that's based in San Francisco. And it's really kind of the hub for us of so many intersections: policy, innovation, our emerging technology, our partners. And so we use that really as a space to bring folks in to ideate, whether it's schools, nonprofit groups who are focused on after school care, elected officials. We would say, how do we ideate? How do we think about what are some of the societal goals that we are trying to achieve, and how do we kind of grow and build upon that? Our pillars are climate protection, human prosperity, and digital inclusion. And so the goal is we might come in and partner with one thing, but how do we expand that to multiple things? We recently had sponsored a SF Fleet Week. And so we brought in Marines who were here, Marines and sailors who were here for a period of time. We brought them to talk about what is civilian life after you served. What are the jobs that exist within Verizon? And so I think there's one way to kind of come through one door and have 4 to 5 different doors within Verizon that we can highlight you with. And so I think I want folks to kind of know about our giveness that there are so many different ways that we can partner together. And then by having conversations and by sharing those shared objectives and realities, we're able to kind of really expand how we partner with folks.
Why do each of you work for AT&T, Crown Castle, Comcast, and Verizon?
Similar to Ellen, before Verizon, I used to work in the public sector. I worked for the Department of Homelessness and Supportive Housing, as well as Rec and Park, which is exactly like the show. And I think similar to that, I think it is, and in Verizon, I think it is this bridging the communities together. And I think it's hard to outwork passionate people. And it's similar to that in public service, where I think every day I get to work with people who are very passionate about their crafts and how they serve the community. Whether that's through our Verizon emergency response team, who has shown up to wildfires or hurricanes or flooding, or providing support for first responders or EMS at large concerts, or whether it's our retail folks who are helping to answer questions for folks who might not know how to change their SIM card, or might not know that it's time to upgrade their phone. I get to work with very passionate people, and I think what's unique in our job is that we get to work kind of horizontally across all verticals. So each day is unique in that aspect, to where I can go from working on write an ordinance to going to our experiential marketing team and saying, hey, how are we showing up for the high school football event on a Friday night per se. And so I think that's what makes this job so unique, and why I'm very passionate about working with Verizon, is because I work with some of the most passionate people. And as one of the panelists mentioned, we live in the communities we serve. We go to the same churches, go to the same gas stations, the same grocery stores. So we all have a vested interest in making sure that we are, that we have a commitment to its excellence, is what we're really passionate about.
What is one thing that you want everyone to remember today?
I think just to echo Rochelle, I think Roseanne, I think you are an excellent example of a leader and a collaborator, and just how much that partnership means to, I think, all of us on this call, in order to amplify our work and all of our works, especially your work as well with SAMCEDA. I think one thing I want folks to know is Verizon is a global company with a local heart. We have like I mentioned, we have a vested interest in our communities, and we aim to be, your first call, collaborators, in order to aim for a better future together. And, we're working to build that future now. And we only can do that through partnerships with our partners in the communities. And so I want folks to know that, yes, we are a global company, but we are local in our hearts as well.